So terror goes into overtime as Jean-Claude Van Damme delves headlong into the action subgenre of the die-hard clone with sudden death. On the night of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Chicago Blackhawks, firefighter turned fire marshal Darren McCord scores tickets for his kids while he was tasked with the safety inspection of the arena. However, unbeknownst to the thousands in attendance, ex-CIA operative Joshua Foss has taken the Vice President of the United States hostage in the VIP box and rigged the entire arena with C4 explosives. Now, unless the government hands over more than $1 billion in hidden government funds, you'll blow the building sky high. However, after stumbling into their plans, McCord's daughter is also taken hostage, and the ex-firefighter is forced to take matters into his own hands. With Foss intent on leveling the arena when the game clock hits 0, McCord must battle against all odds to save thousands before time runs out. So produced on a budget of $35 million, Sudden Death, released on December 22nd, 1995, grossly underperformed at the American box office, only about a $20 million domestic take, and apparently about $64 million worldwide, and reported $50 million in worldwide video sales. But it seems a little peculiar why Universal Pictures would choose to release this with a Christmas release date, because it's definitely a film that has summer blockbuster written all over it, but maybe not so much the summer of 1995 where I would have had direct competition against Die Hard with a Vengeance. But it's very interesting looking at this film in comparison to the previous team-up between Jean-Claude Van Damme and director Peter Hyams, which was Time Cop, which had a $27 million budget, but garnered back over $100 million at the box office, so probably that release date, being late December, was not the most prime choice to release something that could have been a very large action blockbuster, capitalizing on the success of Time Cop with this combination, still delivering something of that type of quality, and really kind of pushing things a little bit further, and being a little bit more mainstream in that type of way that it's not a science fiction concept, it's a straight up action movie that is completely digestible and very easy to get into, and just much more wider appealing, that really could have been a much stronger box office performer if it did had a more appropriate release date, in my opinion. But a lot of the things that went into the development of this film was that the chairman of the Pittsburgh Penguins at the time, Howard Baldwin, was actually in a 2-year contract with Universal Pictures and became one of the financial backers of the film and probably helped facilitate a lot of things with the National Hockey League with the film, which is very interesting because this was in the middle of the lockout of the 1994 to 1995 season, so there weren't any actual games going on, so had to arrange an exhibition between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Pittsburgh Penguins, which didn't work out as well as they possibly imagined it would, so they had to get some players from the Eastern Hockey League to come in and stand in for the Blackhawks and the Penguins to get the proper intensity that they required for the film overall, so a couple of different hoops that they had to drum through to kind of get all these little elements put together for the backdrop of the film. But one of the things that really just makes this film so good is that you get, again, Peter Hyams and Jean-Claude Van Damme, a team that seems to work very, very well together. And Peter Hyams himself is a really damn good director who always puts together very good-looking films. And this is no exception whatsoever because he really brings forth a great tone with this film right from the outset of it, that you really get a great sense that this is going for a very harsh, gritty, serious tone. It's really giving the film a lot of weight, a lot of gravity to the events that are going on, and not trying to play things up lightly. It's not trying to make it a fun, light-hearted type of action film. It's going straight for that very much a similar tone towards Die Hard, where it is a lot more serious, a lot more intense type of things. There's a lot of great tone and gravity put into the fabric of this film right from the outset, right when you see the character of Darren McCord in that fire and see that little girl die in his arms and everything. It sets a perfect tone for this film moving forward, and there's always such a great forward momentum with this film. There's not a second wasted with how this film progresses its story and gets you in to the thriving, pulsating quality of this film absolutely employs here, because I just was so impressed that the pacing was so very tight in this film, and just the storytelling was so lean and direct and straightforward, that everything is so easily and clearly, precisely laid out. Every single beat, every single step of the way, you understand exactly how this plan is kind of unfolding before you into this arena and everything, and still getting the emotional beats with the character of Darren McCord, with his family, with himself, finding out where this character is and where he's progressing, and how all these elements are really kind of starting to converge, and getting that sort of countdown closer and closer to puck drop. It's just that great type of thing in the film that just like it has that building momentum that just really kind of just sucks you in so much. It just right from the beginning of the film, it just starts charging forward. It really just brings forth the tension of the film. It just keeps driving everything so much forward that Peter Hyams' direction of this film just hits off on such a fantastic note, that he has such a great, steady, strong, confident hand about exactly how to push the tone of the film forward and bring forth all that weight of the drama and the emotion, all these various things. I think what he does as director here is really superb. It's such a great credit to him as a fantastic director of genre films and action films that can just bring forth such a great sort of draw into this film. You're very much compelled and engaged between the characters of this film and also the action and all the building suspense that it has overall. I think Peter Hyams' direction here is really on a very exceptionally solid level. That is definitely a director. Probably didn't have as many big hits as, say, John McTiernan, but definitely has a way to kind of rival him on a very solid level, that when you see his films, they're so beautifully constructed with just the direction and in terms of the cinematography, which he was also the director of photography on this film and so many of his other films as well. He is such a fantastic cinematographer, creating a fantastic look so well on so many of his films that just has that signature look. When you see it, you can really tell that it is a Peter Hyams film with that sort of high contrast color palette, a little bit muted, but has a great smoky atmosphere to it all. It has a great haze over everything that creates a fantastic cinematic style to everything he shoots. And there's some fantastic shots in this film. Just creates such a great scope to everything. You just feel like there's such a great grand stage that all this stuff is really playing out on, but you also can just punch into some very tight visuals and just some fantastic dynamic action. So many things he does with the cinematography in this film just impress me so much that, again, just seeing the overall scope of the film when you get so many of the shots outside the arena and see how he captures so many of the big moments of the film, just building on top of things all over the place and just creating some fantastic images that just strike out at you. Sometimes he does throw some fantastic color at you. Sometimes he throws some very strong reds out there that just kind of create another mood, just kind of create a signature little beat in the film, just kind of have it stand out a little bit more. So it's like there's so many things in the film he does, like he uses subtle colors and different things to really kind of set the tone and the mood, and so many different things, especially with the camera work in this whole thing. There's some fantastic shots, especially the stuff near the climax of this film. There's a fantastic crane shot that goes all the way from the ice all the way to the top of the entire arena. It's a fantastic shot, and there's so many things like that in this film. Just like his cinematography is always so extremely impressive, and this is absolutely no exception to the quality that he brings behind the lens of a film, just getting that fantastic eye. He just knows how to just capture the suspense and just bring everything up on the edge of a wire here. In so many moments of the film, he creates such a fantastic style to this film and so many of the other films as well, but right here, he just hits it right on the nail with everything he does between the cinematography, his direction, and of course the editing that he employs here. So many of the different elements that go into creating that overall sense of drama and suspense and the action intensity. It's just fantastic type of stuff that Peter Hyams just brings forth into the quality of this film to really elevate a script that is, again, usually, like all these Die Hard clones, they don't terribly get anything that's gonna really kind of rock the boat or whatnot, really kind of do something all that terribly radically fresh. But when you get someone that can really kind of take it and make it so fantastic, eye-catching, and just create all the great tension that you have to, and just ramp all the stuff up and create some very good spectacle, you get a film directed by Peter Hyams that really just delivers something very special here. And it is one of those, like I said, pairings between a director and an actor that really just hits off very well. It's like Jean-Claude Van Damme is one of those actors that he's never always been that great, but he's always been someone that I feel like he always puts forth a genuine effort to challenge himself and try to better himself as an actor. And him and Peter Hyams are that clicking dynamic. There's just something when you get the right actor with the right director who just know how to work off each other and pull the right qualities from one another. It just hits off on a very solid level. And Jean-Claude Van Damme does a good job here. Like I said, putting forth a genuine effort to really kind of draw whatever he can out of himself that the script demands from him. And it's like nice seeing that he always has that sort of sense of humanity with his characters, with his performances. Really kind of see that he does have a heart that he injects into this type of character of Darren McCord, that he is a guy that has a lot of problems. He's in the middle of a divorce. He's also had that whole thing at the beginning of the film where a young girl died in his arms and he's no longer a firefighter, he's just a fire marshal going around just doing safety checks on the arena and stuff like that. So it's like, guy's a little bit kind of on the downslope of his fortunes and everything. So it's like an interesting thing that he's able to kind of wrap something a little bit more around and kind of push himself to kind of draw those emotions and that humanity out of himself to really make him a character that has a lot of heart, a lot of charm to him that you really kind of feel for. You're engaged with this character. He's a good guy. He has a good sense of morality. He has a conscience. He has all these things kind of weighing on him. And he has these two kids. One's kind of a jackass, but the other one's a very sweet little girl. And it's like he loves his kids so much, and you just feel that genuine feeling from his performance as his character of Darren McCord. He really brings that quality forth very, very well. And that's always the thing I really like about Jean-Claude, that he really just brings forth those qualities. When he's playing these right characters here, he just goes for it and just brings that out of himself. But there's so many other things he also brings forth with when he really has to get down and be a little bit more, dig out the conviction, a little bit more the desperation in his character. Just like he can hit those grittier beats in the film, a little more dramatic, a little bit more intense or whatnot. He can really draw those moments out where he kind of connect very well. Just like he delivers so much of that quality in this film that you just believe in this character every single step of the way, from the heartwarming type of father to the absolute action type of guy who's actually pushed into the scenario where he has to protect his family. He has to protect all these thousands of people in the arena. He's not a guy who's also intimidated by the character portrayed by Powers Boothe. He's a guy who's cunning, he's intelligent. He kind of plays off the wit of the situation too. That you just kind of see that this is a guy who's smart enough to go up against this guy and kind of fake them out a little bit. These characters really kind of work off each other very well, and just what Jean-Claude brings to the film, just as an actor overall, he just hits all the beats so very well, and so exceptionally well directed by Peter Hyams to draw all those qualities out and show that he can really bring forth something a little bit extra. A little bit extra every time he steps in front of a camera. He really kind of tries to put something more out there and just trying to challenge himself a little bit more every single time, and not just kind of lay back on things. Jean-Claude is one of those action stars that really always try to push himself a little bit further every time, and this is definitely one of those films that I feel like he really put forth a good effort, and he showed a little bit of a stretching of a range here that really kind of doesn't hit off fantastic levels, but he still puts together a very good performance here that really kind of connects with the audience and drives forth a very good, well-rounded character. And it's just like so very good seeing Jean-Claude just do that type of thing in this film. And obviously all the action he has to do in the film is actually wonderfully fantastic. But you have to have a good villain in this film. It's like an action film cannot be as great as it possibly can be if you don't have a very good villain. If it kind of falls off, it's going to be a little lackluster. But you cast Powers Boothe as the villain in this film, you've done so much right already, because Powers Boothe does almost nothing but play heavies, and he does it so magnificently well. And it's like watching him in this role, he is just so much soaking it in as his character of Joshua Foss, this sort of corrupted CIA agent or whatnot. He just got this great swagger and confidence to him. It's just this fantastic little performance that he puts forth that is such a cold killer, this merciless, ruthless type of guy who pulls no punches but has such a great charisma to him. It just, this character, again, one of those villains is a total asshole. He's a total psychopath, total sociopath, gonna kill everyone no matter what. If he doesn't get what he wants, he doesn't get his $1 billion, he's gonna blow people up. He's already shot people with absolute no conscience whatsoever, but you're so engaged by him because he's so charismatic. He brings forth such a fantastic, menacing presence that just draws you into his performance so much, and just enjoy what he brings forth as the villain here. It's just such a great performance that I think Powers Boothe just does a wonderful job. It's like a really good type of thing. They have two equally well-rounded and explored characters here that just are inhabited by very good, solid actors that just bring forth the right qualities at the right degrees to really punch it up a little bit. And Powers Boothe, he just kind of he soaks it in, but he doesn't chew it up too much. He's not kind of overdoing it in a certain way. It's like he knows the right measure to put forth this character. And it's like there's plenty of moments where he's kind of just a little bit more laid back or whatnot. So it's like it brings forth that great kind of, again, that confidence that the character has overall that just makes him much more of a threat overall. He's not a madman or whatnot. He's very clear and concise. This guy who just like, he has all these meticulously well-calculated plans of all these things, all these contingencies of every single thing he has going on, except for this one guy who is not even factored into the equation overall in Darren McCord. So it's like always that one thing that just kind of throws the wrench into the whole works of the whole thing and screws everything up, like a Die Hard clone naturally would do. But it's like wonderful type of villain here that just has a great plan that just kind of unfolds very intelligently and brings forth a lot of different obstacles to everyone who's trying to take him down and trying to storm the arena or whatnot. He always has something else planned that no one else is even thinking about. It's a really good put together villain with a fantastic actor put in the role. And it's like such a great cast here put together that there's no real weak links anywhere, in my opinion. That sure, like the kid of Tyler, whatnot, he is a bit of a jackass, but he does have a slight redeeming quality as the film goes on. He just kind of has that heartwarming type of reconnection with his father at the end of the film. And Whittni Wright just does a really good, sort of very sweet, but also completely sympathetic performance here. Just when you have little girl, whatnot, can really kind of stand and hold her own next to Powers Boothe, you gotta say she's doing a really good job of really bringing forth the tears and the sympathy. And it's like you absolutely completely fear for this little girl in this whole situation. Everyone in this cast is really solid across the board. There's not a single person anywhere in this whole cast, I believe, that just doesn't hold up very well. Again, if you had a couple of performances that kind of fell off here and there, it would definitely weaken the film in certain places and not kind of hold it up so well and not connect with the characters you need to. But because it is so strong, it really kind of holds the characters together and holds the story together so very well. I just think everything they put together here with the cast and the acting quality overall is a really good level for this type of film. And I think there's so many good things to attribute to Peter Hyams' direction and everything he did with this film overall. And of course, so much of what he does with the action of sudden death is really fantastic type of stuff, and it's a little bit of an interesting type of thing that they kind of shied away from the martial arts expertise that you would normally associate with a Van Damme film, because they really took a look at the character that he was portraying in the film, a fire marshal, firefighter, who typically wouldn't have a lot of martial arts training, so they really geared it more towards a more realistic type of fighting style for it, which still works out very well for the film, still delivers some very good scenes of hand-to-hand combat. And certainly the one a lot of people kind of just go towards is certainly the one where he faces that off the henchwoman who's dressed up in the Pittsburgh Penguins mascot outfit, which just has that fantastic sort of quality to it, where it's still a fantastically awesome fight sequence. but it still has a tinge of humor to it. Just watching him beat on someone in a big sort of foam mascot cartoonish outfit that is also a lethal assassin in certain ways. It's like a really good sequence that just has a great unique quality to it overall that still delivers great moments of action. And just like how Peter Hyams covers the action in this film is absolutely fantastic type of stuff, that it's so tightly edited, so greatly paced, so well shot, so many great compositions that you never lose yourself in any of the action whatsoever. It's so beautifully covered with that cinemascope frame, never going in too tight to lose the geography of the scene. So many of the fight scenes and the hand-to-hand combat, close quarter combat in this film are just so well covered and so well executed, and overall with so much of the choreography that's at hand and so many of the different things, just like nice sharp little beats in the film, just kind of adds in the tension, the action, but still has the sense of humor to it as well, to kind of hit that little kind of button or whatnot that really adds in the greater entertainment value to the film. So it's like all these little things are just like hit off so very well, such great degrees and so great beats that just add such great quality to the film with the action, just the personality of the film overall, that it is a very serious and heavy, gritty type of action film, but it still has those moments that opens it up for a little bit of humor here and there. So it's like really good type of stuff there. It's like so many things with the action overall just hits on such great levels that there is so many great moments of bombast, like I said earlier, because the character of Foss having countermeasures to so many different things in the film, when they're firing off bazookas and blowing up helicopters and various other things, and just all these different things. It just like, it adds much more bombast to the film, just adds in big explosions, big set pieces early on to just kind of keep the thing rolling, just keeps hitting you with different types of action beats that just keeps the danger, the threat, the stakes keep building up, and the threat of the film just keeps ever present, that you never lose sight of it and never kind of sags down in a certain way. There's always something happening in different parts of this arena, whether it's inside or outside, and different scales of things that keeps you always interested in what the film is building towards, and the fantastic action just always hits on the money every single time. That so many different things that they use just nails it so many times in this film. How they execute it with all the different ideas and all the different action set pieces, all these different qualities that they have added into the film, just solidifies it so much, just hits it on such a rock solid type of level. There's everything so very much ironclad with how they build everything up and how they have all the different things going on to kind of enforce and reinforce this plan of this villain to make the stakes so much more perilous in a short way. Is like this character of Darren McCord is essentially the only person that possibly can stop this whole thing from happening. So it's like a great thing that they just build all this stuff up with the story of the film and just so many great action beats in the film. They just hit off so many great things with certain twists and turns, certain things happen that you don't see coming, and all these different things. Just like, it keeps the thing interesting and keeps the plot moving forward and never gets stale in a certain way. It always keeps having that momentum moving forward. It's so very much showing the money on the screen with this film, that they're not pulling any punches, they're not scaling things down anywhere. They're really kind of going all the way forward and just really kind of doing everything they possibly can with the budget and resources they have to make this look as big and epic and as great of an action film as it can be. And just like seeing all these things build up towards that climax where you have all the things where, again, you have everything on the top of the arena, then you go crashing into that VIP box, and they have the chase sequence with Foss grabbing the daughter and everything. It's like all this stuff building up to that fantastic set piece of that helicopter crashing actually into the arena. There ain't no miniatures there. They actually did that to the actual arena with an actual helicopter. That is impressive, because obviously did something like that today, be a lot of CGI type of work or whatnot. It's like, it's very impressive to see what you see on the screen is exactly what they did in reality. There was no miniatures, there was no real effects work. They blew it up at the actual location. It's like some good effects work. When it's practical in this film, looks really good. They got some front projection stuff and some blue screen stuff that's it's kind of decent. Let's just say it's decent. Not fantastic, not terrible. It's nice that they kind of use them in quick little shots here and there where they don't have to linger on the effect too long. They just kind of use it for when they need it and just kind of move the thing along and don't dwell on these things. So it's like, it kind of passes here and there, but certainly when you see the helicopter dropping down against the foreground elements or whatnot, it definitely shows a little bit of that limitation, what they were able to achieve at the time with whatever resources that they had to expend towards the effects of the film. But another thing that just pumps up on top of all this, on top of all the fantastic action, the fantastic direction, the wonderful cinematography, and the wonderful performance here, John Debney's score in this film is absolutely fantastic. It's excellent. I might be overstating things, but just watching this film now and just hearing so much of this score in the forefront of the mix of this film, it's probably one of the best action movie scores I've ever heard, because John Debney, who has done scores for Sin City and Iron Man 2, and he also did The Relic and End of Days for Peter Hyams later on, and so many other fantastic little scores here. This guy delivers a fantastic action score in this film that just, again, has that sort of pulsating quality, just like it's always driving something forward. It just builds up that tension, builds up the suspense, just keeps everything kind of having a great sort of stirring intensity or whatnot. This keeps driving the peril of the film so much forward. Man, this is so good. This is just right up there on the quality of anything else, like a Die Hard or a Lethal Weapon or whatever you want to choose else. This is really a fine action movie score that just, like, again, it's so much in the forefront of the mix of the film that just drives all these moments forward and just gets you right on the edge of everything. It's like, it's so bombastic, it's so damn good. It's just wonderful score that he puts together here. There's like so damn good. It's like, get this guy doing more action movie scores right now, because if he can still deliver this almost 20 years on, have him keep doing it, because did a fantastic job with this film, and I think he's done a fantastic job with plenty other scores later on. Definitely one of the top-notch ones I've ever heard. It's like so many of the things in Sudden Death really hits it off on a really damn good level. I think I've not seen a fantastic volume of Van Damme films, but if enough of them can live up to this quality, he has some good quality films to his credit, because this is definitely one that just delivers so well. It's like, it's really lucky here, because apparently Schwarzenegger and Stallone and Bruce Willis were all approached about this film prior to Jean-Claude being attached to starring in it. It's like, for different reasons, each one of them passed on the film, whether it was because they just did a lot of films back to back, or they didn't quite like the script, or they were all working on other films at the time. They just passed on it. So it was like such a lucky thing that Jean-Claude Van Damme was able to be put on this film and team up again with Peter Hyams, really deliver something that's very, very good. I won't say it is as good as Die Hard, but for the Die Hard clone genre, it is definitely one of the best ones of the entire pantheon of them, when you got stuff like Passenger 57, Under Siege, Air Force One, Under Siege 2, Dark Territory, and the list goes on. Olympus Has Fallen now. Various other ones. It's not a genre that's dying out or whatnot. It was like, it's even better than especially a lot of the later Die Hard sequels. So it's like, this is definitely one of the best. It is definitely one of the best of Jean-Claude, definitely one of the best of Peter Hyams, and definitely one of the best of this subgenre of action films. Sudden Death is a very satisfying film that, again, doesn't do anything terribly radical with the whole genre, but it's like, it's not what you do with this thing, it's like how well you do it. If you're going to take the same concept that has been revisited quite a few times, especially at this point in time in the mid-90s, if you can do it well, if you can put together a solid one with solid filmmaking qualities, solid cast, and just enough action set pieces to really kind of sizzle up the audience or whatnot, you've really delivered something that is very good. You should definitely see Sudden Death if you've not, because I'm running out of steam here, and just like, this is such a really good action movie that just like, the more I talk about it, the more excited I get, the more I really want to kind of sit down and watch it again, because it's just so tight, so well constructed, and just, again, that momentum, the tightness of the whole thing just keeps you going right from the beginning of the film, hits the ground running, keeps going all the way to the end of the film. It's like, well, that's what I really like from an action film that just hits you right from the beginning, never lets up. You just have a fantastic time with it, and nothing really kind of falls off, or there's any kind of sagging parts or anything. Just there's no weak links in this film. Everything's on a very solid, consistent level, and I just can't say any more of it. So it's time for you guys to say what you feel about sudden death overall. So post your comments in the place down below there. Thumbs up on the video if you really enjoyed me gushing all over this thing. So it's like, it couldn't be the better film to start off a little bit of Van Damme here on the channel here. So it's like, it's just the beginning, not the end. So I definitely want to check out more Van Damme. I've seen some Van Damme before. It's like, need to see more. So it's a good one to start off with in the reviews. So thanks guys for watching. I'll be back with another review very soon, but it's like, I gotta calm down here. So thanks guys for watching. Comments below, thumbs up, all that fantastic stuff. Subscribe if you haven't already. So take care guys. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.